Okay, we are live. Yeah, we got some people joining in already. Mm. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, I think we can start. I know we have a few people on already.
Yeah.
Just give me one more second, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're
Okay.
good to go. Yes.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining the Idle Park Talk Show. Today is a special edition because we're having a show on a Monday night, which is not usually the case. I'm sure you all understand why. For those who don't, today we had the results of the elections in Cameroon, which held on October the 12th. The Constitutional Council proclaimed the incumbent 92-year-old Paul Biya, who has been in power for 43 years, as the winner of this election. So we have a president who's going to go in his eighth term for a 7 year period, and we are here to talk about everything that has happened today, the post-election consequences, and the way forward. Um, we understand this is a very emotional period for a lot of people. A lot of people are upset, a lot of people are sad. So we are not really here to antagonize people and to call people to violence and to make people feel bad about themselves. We are here to share the truth, as we've always done. If you've watched our program for a few months now, we've been covering events leading up to the election itself, and right now post elections. I think we've tried to be fair and stuck to the facts. Our hope is that we continue to do that, regardless of what the emotional toll is, regardless of what people say online. We will stick to what we believe to the best of our ability. Again, thank you for tuning in. It's a great pleasure and delight to always have you. We have a few pictures that we're going to post and talk about, and then we're going to look at the results as well. If this is something that is interesting to you and you would like to participate, we implore you to remain respectful, stick to the facts, um, try to be as succinct as possible. If you want to come online and share your idea, you are more than welcome to, especially those who disagree with what we've been saying. Our thoughts and processes. This is a good opportunity for you to come on and let us know why you think the way you think. And I promise you, it's a promise on our part that we're going to listen with respect and consideration and answer your suggestions to the best, or your questions or comments to the best of our abilities. If you think that's not your cup of tea, you can leave a comment. We try to share our ideas and engage with the comment section as well. But again, thank you for tuning in. Let's dive in. I guess as a general comment, were you surprised by the results? And a follow-up question: were you surprised by the effects on the streets, not just the streets, the strain in relationships with people, and frustration from people? Is there anything surprising for you?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the results of the election, we really have in the past couple of weeks, we've talked about the advantages that the incumbent has, and we'd always said that the ruling party, the CPDM party, was going to win. The CPDM is not my party. I have never been a member of the CPDM party. I am not a supporter of the current government. So comments that I would make on this show is not because I am inclined to supporting one party or the other. It's just things that seem to be clear to me, maybe clearer to me than to others. I think I am one who doesn't let emotions kind of lead. So I think outside the box, and I kind of anticipate. And again, if you look back, Cameroon has had multiple elections over the past 40 years, right? And if you look back and look at the history, the history kind of tells us what was going to happen today. Again, not because of fraud or anything like that, but just because somebody was a lot more prepared than the other, just because a group of people decided to be selfish and to be in to go on this election on their own. Again, I'm talking about the opposition. If the opposition was united in any way, the result might have been very different today. So I am not surprised of the results. It was obvious to me and probably to you that the CPD ruling party was going to win. And again, we can talk about why they were able to get the results that they got today. I have also one thing that surprised me throughout this conversation is that I've had multiple conversations. I've talked to a good number of people. I've received text messages from people who
Yeah.
are a little upset with how we have covered the elections in the past couple of days. Some people have felt that we have been biased towards the opposition, particularly Isa Churuma. Some
Mhm.
people have felt we have spoken mostly in favor of the ruling party. Others have felt that that we have some sort of minimize or ignore the hopes and the wishes of the Cameroonian people. Again,
Mhm.
those are emotions, right? And if you are an analyst or if you want to think critically, you can't think with your emotions, right? You have to think with your brain, and that is what we have done throughout the coverage of this election. So yes, I was quite surprised about that. Again, we did get really good feedback too. Again, I'm not saying that it was all bad. We've gotten really
Mhm.
good feedback. I have had calls where people have agreed with some of the comments that we've made on the show, right? Again, you can't agree with everything we've said,
Right, right.
but if you go through and look at the things that we've said, we've always been, it's always been facts, and we've given figures, and we've presented logical arguments in favor of what we have been advocating or talking about on the show, and very little with emotions. This is a very difficult time for a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people back home. They are disappointed. Again, uh, that is understood. They hoped that this election was going to be the last for the incumbent. They had hoped that they would have change. It didn't really matter what that change was, but they just needed
Yeah.
to transition to someone else. I read somewhere someone said Paul Biya and Isa Chiruma are two devils, right? So it's like, which of the devils do you want? It's not like
Yeah.
Isa Chiruma is a perfect gentleman and a great leader. There's no evidence for that. But again, it's like, people wanted change, and that was all they wanted.
Yeah.
Somebody said, died for big compound. That's what that means. It tells you that
Yeah.
there's trouble on the land,
Mhm.
right? Another thing too, which I want to mention, Ghana. So far there's been a lot of violence and protests post-election,
Mhm.
and to the best of my knowledge, I understand that 4 people have died.
Yeah.
Again, each death is one death too much. I
Mhm.
think it would make sense for us to talk about that. I just wanted to say that
Right.
I mean, we are definitely thinking about these 4 individuals who have died,
Mhm.
and of course their families, right? It's a great loss. People are going out to, again, defend their votes or protest, which is supposed to be peaceful.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, lives are lost, and that is something that we have been worried about from the very beginning. And we've
Right.
said that each time we've had a conversation on elections, right? I am surprised again that I don't know if it's restraint of the forces of law and order, or if it's that people have been a little bit cautious on how they
Mhm.
protest, or if protests have been a little peaceful. I'm not sure, but really, I'd hope, I not hope, I thought it was going to be worse
Gonna
than
be
this. It
right.
was going to be worse than this. But again, the level of protest, even the instances where protests, it's mostly been around Douala and Garua.
Mhm.
A few in the southwest. I didn't see anything in the northwest so far, but
Yeah.
mostly littoral and up in the north, right? So again, that is something that surprised me. The extent or the intensity of this post electoral violence or protest
Hmm.
has been way less than I had thought it would be.
Right.
I believe that Cameroon would have been burning by now, but Cameroon is not burning. And I remember you made a comment that by the time it's said and done, people would just feel
The steam will be out.
the
That's
steam
it.
will be out and people would go
Yeah.
home and stay home, and there would be no need for people to come out and die for. So yeah, those are my initial comments. Sorry, I've been
Mm. Oh, yeah, good.
for too long.
Well, good summary there. Again, I would like to remind our viewers, if you want to join the show, please let us know. If you have a contrary opinion, those are those who really want to talk to. Those who disagree with us. But if you want to come here and agree with us, you're more than welcome to. So please let us know and we can bring you on. Or if you want to stay in the comment sections and just express yourself, you're more than welcome to. But again, we like to get out of a bubble. I like to think we're not in a bubble. We engage with people that we disagree with. So if you think we're getting some things wrong, our assessment is not on point, we are biased, please come on and let us know. And we'll be happy. And I promise you, we're going to treat you respectfully and we'll give you the floor to express yourself. Hailey to Taj Jerome, a good friend of mine. I'm watching from the United States. Yeah, so a good summary of the elections, the events leading up to the elections. We have been covering this for at least 3, 4 months now. So maybe we have just been more exposed to these things than the general Joe out there. And although I know we're not on the ground, but we do a lot of research before we come here. And we try to stick to the facts. We put our emotions behind, or at least let the emotions take the back burner when we make assessments. I totally agree with you with the elections. I think for us, and I speak for myself, but I think you're going to agree, the disqualification of Camto was one of the major issues um, in this election. And we called this out back in August when they were still trying to get the candidates together. We were disappointed. I personally was disappointed that Campo was not going to be running, and I looked at it and saw a total winning of the ruling party. At the time, we didn't even think that Issa Chiroma was going to be up there. He wasn't popular. Issa
He
Chiroma
was
became
not a
popular.
contender.
He wasn't
He
even a
was never a
contender.
contender until the
No,
last minute.
until the last minute. So at the time, we had not even looked into Issa Chimoma. He had no momentum. Maybe there was some um, movement in the north, but there was really nothing down south, center, littoral, southwest, northwest concerning Issa Chimoma. So I think rightly so, we had looked at as a turning point the disqualification of Canto. A lot of it, I'll say 80% was his fault. Maybe 90% was his fault because he refused to run in the municipal elections. So by Cameroonian law, you cannot present for presidential elections. Atanganji said that so many times, and he was right. Um, um, and even after that, I think we both had hoped that Campo was going to go out and put his weight behind a particular political candidate. I mean, just pick
Right.
somebody. We had at multiple times on this very show called for the opposition to be united called and still that although Kamto has been disqualified, he had a great role to play. He had a lot of sway in the Cameroon political scene to
Mhm.
be able to change the outcome. If he stood there as a flag bearer of the opposition to be the kingmaker and then throw the weight of the MRC and all the disenfranchised Cameroonians behind a single opposition leader, I thought we would have made a lot of gains here. But he didn't do that. Maybe because the opposition themselves did not want to unite. I
Yeah.
think he tried to get Issa Chiroma and
And
Bello
Bello
Buba
Kuma.
Maiga to come together, and they did not want to colonize. And we reread his famous statement here. He told Cameroonians to vote according to their conscience. That was Issa.
Mhm.
That was Campto's
Way of
reaction.
saying I wash my hands.
I
Was
wash my
his own
hands.
way of saying that
Yeah,
I have done what I could, and
yeah,
there's nothing else that I could do. So you guys go ahead and vote how you
Vote
want, how you
according to your
want to
conscience.
vote, right? Yeah.
Which is an advice that your priest or your pastor is supposed to give
If
you. Vote according to your conscience, given the fact that it is the spiritual responsibility of your priest or your pastor or your church to be able to form your conscience to
hmm
act in a particular way. So that was disappointing.
hmm
And I remember we had predicted the incumbent winning,
yeah,
not because we love the winning, the
the
CPDM.
incumbent.
I've voted once in the presidential election in Cameroon in 2011. I voted for the SDF. I'm not a member of the CPDM. I've never collected money from the CPDM. I've never campaigned for the CPDM. I will not
hmm
campaign for the CPDM.
hmm
But it's unfortunate that when you say these things, you're being labeled as a CPDM supporter. You're being labeled as a supporter of the ruling party and stuff like that. But I think you can objectively see how things are going and make up your mind. You may not like where things are going, but
hmm
I think an objective mind, it is your responsibility to say, things are going to go this way. I don't like the outcome, but this is how I see it. I think that's a level,
hmm
it takes a level of honesty and
yeah,
integrity to be able to hold that
yeah,
position.
yeah.
Um,
And for me, I kind of feel today it was mixed feelings for me when
it was misfeeling,
I sat through the results, right? Mixed
right?
feelings in the sense that, first of all, we were kind of vindicated in the
Right.
sense that we had presented arguments and really warned the opposition on what the results were going to be if some of those recommendations that we made were not taken into consideration. So yeah, I felt a little bit of that vindication, right? So
Hmm.
okay, we kind of saw this better than most people did. That was for me, that was a
Right.
vindication. The second part that broke my heart was the fact that a 92-year-old
92-year-old
was
person.
going to stay in
It's
power for 7 more years.
right.
Next election is going to be 2032.
Right.
President Paul Biya will be 100 years old.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that broke my heart, right?
That's
Um,
sad.
if Chiruma had won, I would have been very happy,
Oh, that very happy.
right? I would have been happy. At least we would get the change that people would get the change that they wanted.
Right.
So that is where I stood this morning when I watched the Constitutional Council declare the results. But again, they say if you don't plan, it means you're planning to fail, and I think that is what the
Right.
opposition did, and again did not only fail themselves, they failed the Cameroonian
Cameroonian
people
people.
who were looking forward to change. Another thing too that it's important to mention, Ghana, is that yeah, though the opposition might have failed the Cameroonian people, I think the Cameroonian people were not ready for change. They failed themselves.
They did fail them.
We have a population of 13 million plus people. I know they would say a good number of them are below 18. Let's say 15 million
Yeah.
are old enough and eligible to vote. Only about 7 point something million people
Yeah.
registered to vote,
Just about 8
right?
million. Yeah.
And then on the D-Day, where people had to go make their voices heard, less than
About
4
4
million
million.
people actually
Yeah.
turn out. So the abstention rate was almost half.
50%.
Almost 50% of the population of those who had registered to vote decided to stay home,
Yeah.
right? So when you look at this, would you think that the Cameroonian people really wanted change? When even the 7 point something million people who had registered to vote decided to stay home. And again, we can't we there's no obvious concerns or report about people
Voter
preventing
suppression.
voter suppression. There was nothing even in the northwest.
Yeah.
When we go through the results, you would see that even in the northwest and the southwest region, people went out in their numbers to vote. There was no amber disturbing. There was no people would say the military. There was nothing like that. I spoke to one of my schoolmates who works in Bamenda, and he said he went out to vote, and then he said most of the people who came out to vote were
The
CPD
civilian
members of the
people.
CPDM party,
Right.
right? So it became really obvious to those who were really looking at this that yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not surprised that the CPDM won.
Right.
But again, are we Cameroonians, in all
Are we
honesty,
honest?
are we really ready for change? And if we are, what steps did we take?
Mm.
to get the change that we wanted.
Right.
Another thing too, Ghana, which is important to note, is that talking about the diaspora, I think that we talked about this before we got on air.
Mm.
You know, a lot we might have a significant number of Cameroonians living abroad, but a good number of Cameroonians living abroad do not
Not,
have are
they're not
not
eligible.
Cameroonian citizens. These are people who have taken up citizenship in the countries that they reside, which means they are not eligible to vote, right?
Yep.
Which means they are not eligible to vote. So when you hear diaspora make all this noise, only less how many you gave me a certain number
In North America, that includes Canada and the
and the
US,
United States, yeah,
they had about 1,500 people. Okay, that
registered to
was it.
vote.
Registered to vote and who voted.
Yeah.
If you go to Europe, I think had the biggest number. They had about
Yes.
10,000 people.
Right.
In China and Asia and
And Asia.
whatever, it was
Yeah.
like a
It's
thousand something
insignificant.
people.
Right.
Okay, so well, you can vote in favor of a particular candidate, but in all honesty, the diaspora doesn't have a lot of sway
It
in the
doesn't.
Cameroonian election.
No.
Maybe they do on social media indirectly and or whatnot, but in terms of the vote in the ballot box, the diaspora is not that much of a moving piece to be able to significantly affect the outcome in presidential election in Cameroon. Okay, if you want to put everything together, diaspora did not even have up to 15,000
People. Yeah, no. No.
to vote.
And yes,
Okay.
Kamto won all. I think Kamto took all of the diaspora. I mean, sorry, Issa Chiruma took all
Isa
of the
won. Yeah, he won the diaspora.
he won the diaspora, right?
Mm.
But again, 15,000 or so votes,
Yeah,
it's inconsequential if you put that
in
to
controversial.
the 3.5 million or the 4 million
Right.
votes nationwide, right? Again,
Yeah,
this is a lesson to future candidates. Social media does not win votes.
it doesn't.
Social media is more of a hype. It gives you a feeling that you're doing a really good job reaching out to people. But what we know, or what this election has proven to us, is that going down to the grassroots and working and talking with the people in the villages, that is where
Mm.
we are won,
Right.
not on social media.
Not on
Down
social.
to the
And
villages, yeah.
we've been on social media for a little close to 5 years now. And it's a loop feedback. It
Mhm.
gives you what you want to hear.
Right.
Okay, if you are a Issa Chiromo fan,
It
it's
gives you
going to show
all
you
it gives
all
is
the
Issa
things
Chiroma.
about Issa Chiroma. That's what social media does. It follows
Mhm.
your algorithm. It just keeps you in a bubble, and you have to be very conscious and intentional to be able to seek out opposing views. But if you're comfortable and you're just calling on your Instagram, they have exactly what you need. They're
Mhm.
just going to feed into
It's not
your emotions,
regurgitate.
regurgitate the same things you believe, positive feedback, positive reinforcement, and you think those are the people that you have to deal with. No, you have to go out there and seek out other opposite view. You literally have to be
I
intentional about
about
going,
that.
yeah,
Mhm.
about going
Because
there.
again, this now is my own personal experience. I live with people at home, and when I go by and I see what the watch, I you would notice that the past couple of weeks, what I've noticed is everything once they go on and they start looking into Cameroon, everything they see is Issa
It's
Chiruma,
such
Issa
a
Chiruma,
it's
Issa
such a
Chiruma,
yeah,
Issa Chiruma. So you get a lot of that circle and that repetition, and then now you begin to conclude that Issa Chiruma is doing really well.
right.
But you haven't really looked at the other candidates, because
You
again,
cannot.
the algorithm for social media, Facebook,
Yeah,
YouTube, is once you search a particular thing and it finds that you might be interested in a particular person or a particular subject,
yeah,
that is what they give you mostly.
yeah. That's what
If
they
you
give
don't
famous.
intentionally go into to search for something else, you don't get
Right.
anything else other than
You
what you
don't.
had search in the beginning. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely this loop happening, and I think
Mm.
that is where people felt
People fell into
that
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 trap.
that that they fell in that trap, and then they assumed that Chiruma was doing well. I don't know if he himself fell in that trap too. Again, the reason I say this is because um he 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 kind of got stuck with the few areas that he felt that he led or that he felt that he won,
Hmm.
and he completely ignored every other part of the country. He
Yeah.
knew that he would do well in the diaspora. I'm not sure
That's
if he figured out how many votes he could get from there. He knew that he would do well in Garoa. He knew that he would do well in the littoral, right? But
right.
the point too is that when in Douala, the point too is that when you look at the percentage of abstention, a good number of people in these key areas. There was a
Yeah.
lot of more people voted in the northwest and the southwest region than they did in some of the other parts of the country.
But
I mean, I'm basing this on the information
like,
that came out of Elekam, and that was
right.
supported by the Constitutional Council, right? There was
Hmm.
a lot more votes in the northwest and in the southwest region. In the east, Paul Biya always takes the east. In
That's
the
a
east,
stronghold.
I don't know that Chiroma
East,
ever went to the
south.
east. South, he took that central. I mean, we're going to talk
That's a
about
strong.
and give you the
Right.
percentages though, but I just kind of wanted to.
Right. And I think we have a picture of the polling stations in Cameroon. If you have that up, you can
You
put it
want me
up.
to put that up?
Yeah, please. We had about 31,600 and something polling stations. Okay. So, yeah, and almost, it almost feels like you have to define what these things mean. A polling station is just a center where a few thousand people are registered to vote.
Probably not
That
even
is
1,000.
not even 1,000, 100,
Sometimes a polling
whatever
station
number,
might have just 100 or so people,
or
a few
whatever. Yeah,
hundreds. Mhm.
a few hundred.
But that's what a polling station is, right?
That is a polling station where you go in and cast your vote. And by Cameroon law, when you cast your vote at the end of the voting period, the polling station manager has to count everything, and all the representatives have to be there, and then they confirm that this is the result.
And the
Okay,
sign.
and they sign off that. So we saw a few polling stations with frauds, and they were counting errors, and there's a lot of social media to show that. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
we did see it here before the elections. Yes, there is fraud. There's a lot of fraud, but it wasn't that crazy. I mean, if I saw anything, I saw maybe like 15 videos,
Yeah.
different videos, many of them from from different angles of the same polling station. But by and large, most people stayed, especially those who had the internet, watched their vote counters and the sign. Everything was peaceful.
Hmm.
I think it's not unusual that you have fraud, and even in the most perfect democracy, there is some level
That's
of
true.
fraud.
Yeah.
Okay, there's always complaint of fraud. It's not only in Cameroon. This is not it's not unique. It's not a unique Cameroonian problem. But then I didn't think the amount of fraud that was out there was great, was significant enough to be able to sway
Mm-mm.
the election. There was fraud, and nobody's denying that there was fraud. Okay, and it's probably and then another aspect that I have to bring here, according to Elekam, they had 31,600 polling stations. Do you know how many observers Issa Chiroma had at the time of the election? He had 1,700.
I see why he didn't bother to go.
Okay,
He didn't bother to go.
yeah. So I mean, according to common law, you're supposed to have your observers in each polling stations.
Yes.
They can give you one, but you're supposed to have two. So
Right.
for 31,000 polling stations and more, you're supposed to have about 62,000 observers.
Right.
That can be confirmed by phone number. They can be
And names.
confirmed
Right. Yeah.
by names and party allegiance.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're supposed to have 62,000 people ready to observe across the polling stations in the national territory to guarantee your vote. If they're not there to observe, one, there's fraud. There might be potential fraud, but
Yeah.
there's no one there to counter. There's
Yeah.
no way to prove it. There's no
Right.
way to prove ballot stuffing. There's no way
Right.
to be able to check all of that. All those checks and balances, you can't forfeit. Issa Choma had 1,700, not even up to 5% of the
Of what
Cameroonian
was required. Right.
of the polling stations. So when we see all these things and we say it's not looking good for the opposition, it's not looking good for the Issa Choma, it's not that we don't like him, or it's not that we are supporters of the CPDM. You just look at the facts. You just say, even if there was fraud to be able to happen in the northwest and southwest, how can you prove that? You can't discount it. Okay. And these people in the north and south, they can, and they have, I'm sure UNDPD has some votes and some observers
Mm-hmm.
um, SDF did surely have some observers.
Hmm.
A lot of them sign off on that pavis.
Yeah.
They did sign off on the pavis. So when you go out there and you post out your own pavis, and
Of
then
the
Electra
1,600 police stations
oh,
that you had
oh,
observers,
that you had observers of,
but there were 31,000.
but there are 31,000. I mean, it flies against the face of logic for you to be able to make a conclusion that you won. Okay.
Mhm.
But being as emotional and desperate as people are, and understandably so, people really wanted Issa Chuma to win. But looking at the facts, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It doesn't make any mathematical sense. And then, moreover, you come less than 24 hours or 24 hours and a few minutes, and to say that you won the election when you had 1,700 observers. I mean, come on now.
Mhm.
Come on. It beats the imagination of any reasonable, sane person
Yeah.
that you can be able to hold that level of importance and that level of intelligence and still come out and make such a proclamation.
Mhm.
So we saw this, we pointed it out, not because we are CPDM supporters, not because we have receiving money from the CPDM. You declared yourself. You probably have never voted for a presidential election. I did once in 2011. I voted for the SDF. Never been a never been a party member of the CPDM. But you say these things and people think you're crazy. People think you just want the ruling party to go to continue. And it's sad. But it is what it is. Uh,
Mhm.
it's, it's our promise to continue to speak the truth. It's a lot of people are going to be hurt, but yeah, we cannot lie. We cannot lie. Okay.
So just going by that, in terms of, we talked about PVs and representatives and things like that. Taku Claire from Edmonton has a question. Like, how many people voted in the BLM? What was the
Yeah.
result? Thousands voted for the doctored PVs in Chang. So again, again, yeah, I mean, legitimate questions to ask, right? We again, for obvious reasons, we don't have all the, we have some
All those details.
of
Yeah.
the results, but I don't, we don't have the results for Libya LM. But whatever the case, if Issa Chiruma or the SDF or any of the opposition parties had representatives representing representing their voice in the
FSNC.
polling stations in the BLM, they would know.
They
There
will
would
know.
be no way of fabricating results if there was an SDF representative sitting in a polling station and sitting there counting the votes. How would you, how would say Elekam, how would Elekam falsify results if they are representatives? So it goes back now to the point which Ghana made a few minutes earlier. Like, if you don't have representatives in the polling stations, how do you contradict the results that they how do you challenge the results that is presented to you? If you don't have any weaknesses, you don't have a copy of the pages because your own representative wasn't there. So you give the ruling party or the machinery for you, you give the ruling party,
You are the mercy.
you're at their mercy, because whatever
Yeah.
they bring to you, you don't have a choice but to accept. Because
Right.
why weren't you there? It's very clear. You need at least two representatives per polling station. Let's just say one for the sake of, or
Right.
just be reasonable and say at least a representative at each polling station. Did Issa Chiruma present a representative at each polling station in the southwest? How many representatives did the Issa Chiruma's party have in the BLM? That would be a
Libya.
good question to ask. But I can assure you that the CPTM had at least two
Yeah.
in every polling station, because they had, I mean, they have people who had
I mean,
planned for this election for a long time, right?
you don't need to like the CPDM, and I'm not asking anybody to
No, but
like the CPDM,
no, you don't have to.
but you have to accept that these people are
You have
organized.
to admire their commitment.
Their commitment and
You have
organization. You
to
have to.
admire their commitment.
And Paul Biya too. You don't have to like Paul Biya. I mean, for all I care, you hate him if you want to. That's your opinion. But you have to admire that the grip that this man has on Cameroon politics is something that has to be studied. You need a PhD to be able to understand that. Okay, CPDM, with all the corruption, with all the failures, with all the disenfranchisement of all the voters, with all the government shortcomings,
They're
they
still
still remain the
they
most
still they've
organized
still
party.
established themselves as the best
They have.
amongst others.
they look in colloquial saying, if man carry you, pass it back.
The man
I
pass
mean, if
you.
man pass you, carry it back. I'm sorry, I got
It's
mixed up.
easy. It's easy. The
If
CPDM
man
has
pass you, carry
demonstrated
it back.
that they know what it means to win, to run and win an elections. It's not
They do.
because you like them. They know what they don't, like we said a couple of shows ago. These people start planning the day after the last elections. They
Right.
don't wait until 2 months, until 3 months. They start each time you hear, oh, son of the soil is coming to speak with our
To
people.
visit.
Today you hear
He has a CPDM attire.
there's a TPD attire. Tomorrow you hear a son of the soil. Tomorrow you hear there's a rally. Another friend of mine made it very said something really clear that people are actually they might not be happy with the CPDM, but people actually go out and vote for the CPDM.
They do.
If you take the he compared political rallies that he observed in Bamenda, right? He says when it's the CPDM rally, everybody
You
has
see the difference. You
it,
see the difference.
they are well organized. Each group is represented. Each group is represented. Each group is they are well organized. The machinery works without any hitches, right?
Yeah.
And then when you go to say SDF or to the others, was Issa Chiruma who came and stood somewhere around the park somewhere, and then Chargés and Park boys gathered and he said his thing and he left.
Did he spend 2 hours in
He didn't
Bamenda?
spend 3 4. He didn't spend a day in
He did
Bamenda.
not.
He
Issa
did not.
Chiroma has not been to Bali. He's not been to Cambe. He's not been to He's not been to Lebi Alem. He's not been to, was it in Chang? He's not been to Lewo, all those village all those small village. Yeah.
No.
He has
How
not
do
been
you
there,
expect to win?
nor has he as his representative. And then I mean, you can respect someone who's beating your bum. Okay, someone who's whooping your ass. You can hit them, but at
But
least at
you have
least
to
you can
respect.
show some respect that this
Yeah,
guy knows how
you
to
have to
beat me at the
respect.
game. So it is sad. And I have to say this here. If you have been a supporter of Amber, you have propped those guys and you think Amazon is congratulations. You helped win the elections in the Northwest and Southwest
Exactly.
for the ruling party. Because they have the military on the side, and most of them are government officials. They have the military on the side. So mostly only them can do campaigns in this region. A lot of people, a lot of opposing parties are afraid to be able to go in and campaign because of the insecurity.
Hmm.
Okay. A
Hmm.
lot of CPDM people too have died
Hmm.
campaigning. There was
Hmm.
a member of parliament MP who was just killed
Recently,
in Cambe.
yeah,
In
yeah,
Cambe.
yeah, he died.
Okay. He died during the election. Okay. So
But the thing is, why other political parties are afraid to go,
people have
these CPM
sacrificed.
elites are sacrificing their lives to go
Some
campaign.
have gone and died
He didn't have to
because of
go.
campaign.
He didn't have to go, but he had to go campaign for the president. So
He
he
had to.
went. Yeah, he might have died, but you see
You
the
you you, you,
effort that
can-
they
you
are
admire
putting.
that commitment. Yeah, you
Yes.
have to admire that commitment. Okay, you really have to admire that kind of commitment. First of all, they have the military on the side, so they can be guaranteed security to a certain extent. A lot
Right.
of them still die. Um, and then where are all these polling stations? Polling stations are made in the area where people feel secure. So in the
Right. So
palaces,
people
in the
can go
churches,
vote.
in the police stations, in the do you think people only that gives security mostly to the people who are leaning CPDM to go out and vote? Okay, and then most of them will turn out and vote. The people who are scared, who don't want to go, who have opposing views, maybe they'll just stay house and keep their vote. Like, I'm not going to support the CPDM. But the people who feel confident in the security are mostly those who have a strong affiliation to the ruling
Mhm.
party.
Yeah.
They might have it to other opposition, but they don't see that the opposition is doing enough for them. So than to go with the amber, we better go to the people who are at least to a certain extent keeping us secure, wanting
Mhm.
us, our children to go to school,
Yeah.
wanting our markets to stay open,
Mhm.
wanting our roads to be open.
Hospitals stay open so our families can go
Who is doing
without.
that? It's the government. It's not the opposition. Okay, the opposition is wishy-washy on that. They know, oh, the people, there's the struggle. They want to capitalize on the struggle,
But
but
they don't want to
they,
commit
they, they,
fully
they,
to it.
they don't really want to commit fully. Okay, so the people are looking at it and like, okay, it's either the Amber Boys or the military. It's either the opposition All the government, which one? Who are those who want my children to go to school at the end of the day? Who are those who want me to go and buy in the market or sell my goods? Who are those who want people not to stand on the road, amber bus, and kidnap me? And that is the only choice. The opposition has not worked hard enough for them. So who do you think, in all honesty, who do you forget about fraud for a little bit? Who do you think these people are going to vote? These people who have, by the way, have never heard of Isa Choma,
Hmm.
okay? Or even if they've heard of Isa Choma, the last time they heard of Isa Choma is when he was Minister of Communication.
Yes,
They did not even hear about him as
as a candidate.
uh, as a candidate. The last time they really heard about him was Minister of Communication, who stood up and said there was really no Anglophone problem. The Cameroonians are all suffering, blah blah blah.
And
Oh, I'm about
who in their right minds after seeing the past 8 years and seeing the role that Issa Chiroma, I mean, an anglophone, seeing the role that Issa Chiroma has played in shutting down and oppressing, again I'll use the word oppression, oppressing
yeah,
and denying the anglophone crisis, to go to turn around and think that Issa Chiroma became a saint 2 months ago and
2 months ago.
is able, he is going to free everybody. No, 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 no. People don't change that quickly.
No,
People do not. This is not the olden days where people in the Bible, the argument that someone made to me was Saul and
Paul and
uh,
Saul.
Paul and
Paul,
Saul.
well, Saul became Paul
Saul became
when he
Paul.
encountered
I'm like,
Jesus.
no, that thing happened a long time ago. It doesn't happen anymore. People don't just
Right,
change like
right.
that. Again, that was just an aside. But Ghana, another thing to which again, another argument which another friend of mine made was this: say usually the loudest voices are usually not the people who go out to vote. So when you take the Benzikines and you take the chargeurs, you take the drivers, you take the young people who are hanging around, right? Yeah, they might come out to your rallies and make all the noise that they may go on the streets and demonstrate. But how many of them have
The
an
voter's
ID
card.
card first of all?
Oh, first
So
of
then
all,
have a voter's card and are
yeah,
willing to go to vote.
yeah,
His argument was this, right? For reasons, unfortunately, the government is the highest employer in the country.
yeah,
Employs teachers, employs nurses, employs doctors, employs agri workers, employs healthcare, employs police, gendarme, is the biggest
everything
employer. So everyone
is working for the government.
is working for the government to a certain extent.
Right.
Everyone is working for the government. Now, when you look at these people who are mid middle class and above, who are dependent and working for a particular government, the question is, how many of them would want to go and vote against
Vote against.
the government that feeds them?
Right.
That was a question that he said. He went out to vote and he saw teachers, he saw police officers, non-uniform police officers who came out to vote, saw nurses and doctors, saw agri workers, and everyone that he saw
The government
was
worker.
someone who was employed by the government to a certain extent, either with the parastatals, CDC, or in
Which is still a government, which is still a government
which
corporation.
is government private, but still dependent on the government, right? So he said the common man on the street can come to a campaign rally and shout and jump and make noise. That guy does not even have a national identity.
They don't. I mean, you just look at the evidence, and we did show the evidence among the people who were arrested in Chang, where they had the recent when they were still counting. They had already they burned down the courthouse. The people went into the house of the rector of the University of Chang. 45 people were arrested, at least from better things. It's claimed. Do you know how many people even had voters card? 8. So out of the 45 people who were arrested, okay, 38 of them 38 of them do not even have a voter's card. Okay, so who are what vote are those kind of people protecting?
You're
You didn't
protecting your
vote.
neighbor's vote.
You first of all, you don't have an ID card. So I mean, it's hard. To say that Issa Choma was going to come and change things is being delusional. Because if Issa Choma were to win, he's still going to be president. He's still going to be in charge of employing all these same people who have voted for the ruling party, and he's still going to use the government resources, government time, government
Mhm. He's still going to take
security,
advantage of all the resources
all
that
those things
all the
to be
different
able to
arms of the government. He's still going to be the one who's going to appoint the head of Elecam and employ
the
every
head of
Elecam
Elecam.
member. He's still going to be the one who's going to appoint. He might change the whole constitutional council, but he is still going to be the
He's
one
still
who's
going
going
to
to
appoint you.
appoint the constitutional council, right? He is
Right.
still the one who's going to appoint all the generals, all the commanders, all the commissioners of police. He is still going to be. It's still going to be. It's the same system. It will just be a new leader, but it's going to be the same system, and he's going to implement the same system because see, not we might he claimed that he was just going to come there, do a 5-year stint, and then he would transition. I heard what is this woman's name? um um Enonchong, some Enonchong lady.
Rebecca
Oh,
Enonchong.
yeah, he signed a contract that he's only going to do. He signed which damn contract?
With who?
With who? Where do you go to enforce the contract that 5 of you wrote in your house and took it to him to sign? That he was only going to tell me who does 4 years, 5 years. Alassane Ouattara said the same thing. He was just going to get Gbagbo off. He was going to do 5 years. He was going to change the constitution and make sure that there were term limits. The guy is running for he was just won.
He just won. He's only just won.
Fourth term. He's been going for 19 years. Paul Kagame in Rwanda came and said the same thing. Yeah. And before people knew it, he's changed the constitution. Now he doesn't want to leave. Why is Issa Chiruma going to be any different?
Any different?
Why by the way, he's going to be any different?
He's been part of the government for 25 years.
Same thing. Go to Kenya, it's the same thing. People come into office and never want to leave. No. The only reason why it works for Nigeria and South Africa is that they've gone through a lot.
And they've lost a lot of lives.
Establish that term limit. They've successfully been able to, probably the only 2 countries in Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Because every other country
and they are still complaining.
And they're still complaining.
Nigeria is still complaining hard. Okay, because
I see Nigerians laughing at Cameroon. I'm like, you guys, your blood is blacker than us.
Right.
You might change presidents but you get from one old man to the next old man. Is that the change you guys want?
And then they have to go from this region to that region.
They come to the next. This guy say no, it's my turn. They can't play. No, it's my you. So it's just a setup, and I worry that it was going to be the same kind of setup with the Cameroon situation. I just want to acknowledge Clement Takukle. He said for sure, most voters in their subconscious were CPTM, but they inflated the result. He's acknowledging that a lot of people still went out to vote for the CPTM. I think he's arguing that even though a lot of people went out to vote, they had inflated the results to increase the number.
Sure, but how do you prove it?
How do we prove that?
You cannot.
We can't prove it. We cannot prove that.
Out of 31,000 polling stations, you only have 1,700. How do you prove it?
How do you prove it?
You can prove it. That's what we said. You are at the mercy of the opposition party, of the ruling party. Whatever they give is whatever you have to accept. You can't suddenly say, "Oh, I did not sign on this," because you didn't have observers.
You did not.
Okay.
And then I think
we hope that these people act with integrity, and we hope that they respect the law and the count every legal vote. What they put on the papers is really what happened. But at the end of the day, you cannot prove it. You cannot argue against, you cannot argue for, because you did not have observers on the ground. Okay. And you will see videos in Douala, in Yaoundé, that's it, because people have social media there. What about the places that don't have social media? Which, by the way, is majority of the polling stations in Cameroon.
Yeah,
you can. So they might invade. I'm not saying there's a high potential. It's very possible, and I'm sure some people did.
I mean, but Ghana, it's basic principle. He who alleges proves. If you allege a crime, the onus is on you to prove that the crime actually happened. It is not on the other party to prove that they did not commit the crime. You have to prove, in some cases, beyond reasonable doubt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That actually a crime was committed. So when you say fraud happened, aren't you supposed to come and prove?
Yeah.
That there was fraud? If you say there was ballot stuffing, aren't you supposed to come and prove that there was ballot stuffing?
The bad stuff.
Is it the other party whom you're accusing? Is it that party who needs to come and disprove your claims? No, the onus is on you. The onus is on you to
It's on
prove
you
that what
to
you're
prove.
alleging is true. Come
It's
with
true.
your
Yeah.
evidence, right? So, you know, yes, ballot, they might have inflated the results, but hey, what evidence do you have to support the claim that
Right.
results were inflated?
I'm may I remind viewers that Joshua also did submit a claim of fraud. You know what he did? He withdrew it before it was even time for him to present his case and
Right.
show the fraud in
Yeah.
Batibo.
Yeah,
Okay,
but both
so
clearly, yeah.
yeah, is Joshua still complacent, or is he just making a political stunt? Or did he think that the fraud was not enough to sway the election? I mean, it has to be one of those three options.
Yeah.
Okay. You cannot just say there's fraud and then, okay, time to present your fraud, which is live stream for all
Mhm.
Cameroonians to be
Mm.
able to see.
Yeah.
And you make your argument. Like, by the way, like Camto did in 2018,
Right.
respecting his voters and
Hmm.
his electorate. He went out there and tried to defend the fraud.
Hmm.
You did not even have the guts to be able to go out there and defend all the allegations that you made. I mean, if any sane person, when you look at that, I'm like, these people are not serious. These people, they really do not have any level of integrity. Because if you make an accusation, an allegation, the expectation is that you have enough facts to be able to defend that point of view.
Right.
But if you withdraw your case prior to you presenting the facts, it is but normal and a logical conclusion for us to agree that you do not have what it takes to to defend your case.
Hmm.
You were just bluffing. You are guilty of lying to the people. It
Hmm.
is a logical conclusion. And it's not absurd for us to be able to make that kind of conclusion. You cannot
No,
just
no.
say, oh, there's fraud here and fraud there. And then when they stand to vote, and then more importantly, you sit and declare yourself president, and then you go to social media and you post the paves there, and then there is an opportunity for you to come in front of the rightful authorities to be able to defend what you posted as the right paves. You say, oh, we are within our constitutional right to post this. If they have any issue, they should come to us. Do you know how crazy that sounds? Do you know how dumb, how stupid, how you have to lose brain cells if you have to think like that. I mean, listening to the argument that Issa Choma, somehow has been the Minister of Communication, make, you
A
cannot let your
blasphemy.
5-year-old or your 4-year-old make that kind of argument. Like, it doesn't even make sense. It's like, oh, I wrote an exam, but I have my own answers, and this is the result that I have. If
Hmm.
the teacher has a problem with my answers, the teacher should come to me.
Hmm.
How does that sound to any reasonable person? Like, come on
It
now.
doesn't. It doesn't. It
Come
doesn't.
on now.
I
Like,
mean,
let's be serious.
when you hear, I heard him and I scratched my head. I'm like, huh, this doesn't sound right. This
Come
doesn't
on.
sound right at all.
I mean, have you tried to just for a second try to explain this to someone who's not from a Cameroonian background, or someone who's just neutral, someone who has no skin in the game? Just explain it to them that I someone claims to be the winner, but he wants the organization that's responsible for running the election to come and check his results and make sure. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, you're gonna, like, and I remember people were gathering to go march past in one of our cities there. I think one of my main questions with them, like, as you're going to protest, good, it's within your right to be able to do that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all kudos to you. Do what you believe in,
Yeah.
fair and fine. But then you should be able to respond to the question: how do you know that the person you're protesting is the winner before they have declared the election?
Yeah.
I think that's an important question to ask. And
Hmm.
should someone come to you that is curious and wants to understand your point of view, you should be able to ask that question.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you don't have a decent answer, I'm sorry, you look like a clown and you embarrass yourself.
Yep.
Okay.
No
Which
lie.
is sad. I was gonna talk a little bit about the typical CPDM voters right now.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of insult and ridicule and
Hmm.
snarky comments and a
Hmm.
lot of condemnation about the CPDM voters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not fun to be a CPDM voter right now in Cameroon. I can tell you
No,
that.
no, it's not.
It's not. They are insulted. They are condemned. How can you support a man who's 92-year-old? How can you support someone who's been powerful for 33-year-old? How can you, all the bad things that from Cameroon, you support that? So there's a lot of ridicule. So it is not popular. It is not pleasant. It is not. So it makes me think that those who support the CPDM have just gone to their corner. They are not making any
It's
noise.
a silent
They're not
majority.
the silent
That was
majority,
who we
like you
talked
said
about.
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are not making any noise. They have their convictions, or at least they look at things quietly in their heart and in
And
their
they
rooms
know
and
who
like,
they
you know
believe.
what? I look at the situation here. I don't see a competent opposition. I think this is the government. They're bad enough, but I know that this is what I get from them. They look and they make their decisions. They don't want to upset anybody. They don't want to cause any tensions within
Hmm.
family members, within friends, and whatever.
Hmm.
They are quiet. They go in there and they cast their
They
votes.
just go and cast their vote and they go back home quietly.
Quiet. And meanwhile, the opposition voters, who are they? They are the people who do not have papers. A lot of them, not so. A lot of them have ID cards and voter cards, but it is diluted by a lot of people who do not even have
Mhm,
ID cards, who do not have
mhm,
voters card.
mhm. Yeah, and that
So
is that is what that is.
it's crazy.
Taku Claire also put a comment again back to to the conversation we had earlier. He
Yeah.
said that's right. The opposition was not ready, and it takes a lot
You have to be honest,
considering the first comment that he put up, right?
right?
I think it takes a lot to get to a place where where people can admit that, hey,
Yeah,
really, the opposition did not do enough. The opposition was not ready for these elections.
yeah, yeah.
The only opposition leader who would have been ready was Kamto. Again, we've
Come to
made this very clear. Every
yeah,
other opposition leader, like I mean, Issa Chiruma was not a candidate that we talked about. Kamto, we talked about Ose, we talked about
yeah.
Libi. Issa Chiruma was not part of that conversation
He
because
wasn't.
we knew from the very onset this guy is not ready for much. And we talked about him taking advantage of but again, it was too late. He took advantage of the wave, but again, the groundwork was not done because
Was not done.
he couldn't inherit Camto's representatives. He couldn't
No.
inherit Camto's machinery because it was not his, right?
Yeah.
So once Camto was out, his machinery automatically dissolved.
Okay. Yeah.
Even if they decided to support Issa Chiruma, it wasn't it was individuals
Yeah.
supporting Issa Chiruma, not the machinery that Camto had built. Because Camto had built a solid machinery. That is a
Yeah.
fact. He raised so much money.
He did.
He had raised so much money that
And he
he
had to
was good
return it
for this
back.
election, right? He had to give them back. But again, I'm just saying, Issa Chiruma was not ready.
He was not ready.
The SDF wasn't ready. Bello Buba Magari again wasn't ready because he knew
No.
that he was just doing playing nine shirt for the CPTM. He wasn't ready. Cabral Libi, yeah, it's a young party, but again, that party wasn't really ready to do
Yeah.
much. He came third, I think, right?
It's
And
like,
the
it's like,
others
it's like yeah.
and the others
Like
were just probably there for the campaign money. I'm not
yeah.
sure, but again, the opposition
Yeah.
was not ready. Issa Chiroma wasn't. And again, thank you, Claire. It takes a lot for someone to
To
admit.
be
And
honest.
for the people that I've talked to, they will not even arrive at this. They will never ever arrive at the
No,
conclusion to
they
say,
won't.
okay,
They won't.
maybe the opposition wasn't ready, maybe they didn't do enough, maybe the CPDM did a lot more than. It takes a lot to get to a place where you can admit that yes, maybe the
And I
person.
feel like we have to remind people we are not CPDM members. I have never voted for the CPDM. I have never taken money from the CPDM. It's like when you have this position, you always have to remind people
But
because
again, Ghana
the
is not.
matter
I mean, people have a right to belong to any political party that they want to
you
belong to.
do, and,
It
and
is
that's
your
and
right.
that's and that's the thing. That's the thing. It's almost as if people are not even free to vote for the CPDM. I'm like, what kind of democracy are you having? Have you heard the insult that CPDM people who even dare to even be neutral? People who even dare to be neutral.
Neutral,
Do you
yeah.
hear the ridicule that they get? To like,
But Ghana is the same thing we go through all the time. Look, take the Anglophone crisis, for example. Those
no,
who said they wanted federalism, they were shown and condemned,
they were
and
shown out
as if they did not
by
have
the
a right,
radicals.
as if they did not have a right to that opinion. Those who
Yeah.
said we don't really care about this Ambazonia thing, they were called blacklegs,
They record
as
blackleg.
if you don't have
Exactly.
a right to choose,
Right.
right? Because a loud majority starts something, they believe that everyone needs to join them.
The loud minority.
When Agbobala said, "Oh, federalism I
He was kicked
you
out.
he was kicked out of the movement. He was shown and condemned for
Right.
picking, being a CPT is no problem to be a CPT. You have a right to be a
You have a
member of
right.
any political party that you want to
Be,
be.
right.
CPTM, SCF, NN, whatever, you have a right to be. So when people talk as if, oh, people, you have a right. You have a
People,
right.
people, people talk as if people don't have a right to support whatever party.
You
They don't have a
have
right to support the discipline. That's how people are talking. And then you have people go online and say, I hope the Constitutional Council does the right thing. And we talked about this
the
the
right
last time.
thing.
What is the right thing? What do you really mean
Support
by
your
the right thing?
candidate. Would that be
And
the right
and
thing?
really, that's what most people wanted. When they meant they hope the Constitutional Council will do the right thing, they actually meant they hope the Constitutional Council will endorse Easter Chiroma's result.
Yeah.
Like even in country meetings, we do not allow that kind of thing to happen. Okay, even if your smallest association, you will not allow what Issa did to happen. It doesn't happen. People say, "Oh, Issa Samaritan goes and brings his case to a Constitutional Council. He's given a legitimacy." What? What are you talking about? First of all, Issa Choma signed up to these rules. He knew what he was getting into. He agreed to the rules and regulations of election.
Terms and
Okay,
conditions. Clean and clear.
clean and clear. And then suddenly you say, oh, if he has any case of fraud, if he goes and presents it to the organization that gives him the rules and regulations, the terms and regulations of the election, then he's given a legitimacy. What? Who in their regular sense will think about that? Who in their regular sense will think that the student who has graded himself has the authority is legitimizing the teacher were
Mm.
he to go and have a complaint with the teacher? Who in their I mean, that will not even fly with your children. But somehow we think that's okay for a
Mm-hmm.
nation.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow we think that in the 21st century, that's normal. It's sad. It's really sad. And when you think about this and everything that Cameroonians go through and the thoughts of many Cameroonians, I'm sorry to say, we do deserve Paul Biya because you really get what you deserve. He did not come out from the sky. He did not come out. He was not imposed on us. He's a product of the political system
And
that
voted for him conveniently for the
uh,
past
uh, yeah,
40 years.
yeah.
He's won
I'm
every
sure
election.
there's
He's
they
won
sure
every elections. And you
there's
can't argue
fraud.
that there's been fraud on all. They might have been, but he's won
Yeah,
every elections.
he's one. Yeah.
Even
Um,
Isaac Chiroma gone
I
out
said
and
that he won
campaigned and
for
supported.
oh,
So
for God.
you then we act as if, oh, you're terrible to be a member of the CPTM. Yeah. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Why is it wrong for you to be a member of Issa Chiruma's party or to
no,
be a member of the SDF? No, it's
yeah.
not. That's
You have a
why they
right.
have
It's your
multiple
freedom.
parties. So you can pick the one that you want depending on whatever it is that you're looking for.
No,
Some people would
no.
even argue that the devil you know is better than the angel you don't.
You don't know.
Call it what kind. But again, that too is
Mhm.
true. That
That's
too is
true.
true. We've talked about the number of people that the government hires.
Yeah, yeah.
They would prefer the status quo, where at the end of every month,
Mhm.
past the 1990s, where the government had some difficulties paying government workers. At the end of the month, every government worker goes to the bank
And can collect
and
your
get
salary.
their money.
Yeah,
Every government worker knows that. They go to the bank, their money is there. There's no even when people are not working, teachers in the north and the southwest region, certain parts of the north and southwest region, where there's too much hostility and people can't work. These guys still
yeah.
get paid.
They still get paid.
They still get paid. And you when this guy goes and votes for the CPTM, you blame him. You blame him for what? That he's choosing the consistency, because now for him
Yeah,
it is consistency.
yeah. It's crazy, bro. It's really crazy. It's really crazy. And then
Victor. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Victor, what is it now? Wow, now Ngodebu.
Gumbebu. Gumbebu.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. If you want to explain,
He's probably he doesn't like what we're saying.
yeah, he probably doesn't like. And again, if he's willing to come on and share what he thinks, we'll be more than happy to bring him on.
Yeah, Victor, if
Um,
you want to come out and say a few words, we would let you come out and speak. So just let us
do
know in
we,
the comment section if you're interested in coming up and making an argument either for or against, or maybe justify.
right.
Doesn't really matter. Do we want to kind of look at the results?
Yeah, yeah. Can
We
we?
have we have a few things here. Yeah, I'll put this up. We can start with this one. Is it clear enough?
Yeah, yeah, that's clear. So, I think Adamawa is really one of the few provinces. I think Issa won in three provinces, in three regions. I'm sorry. He
Mm-hmm.
did win in Adamawa by
Mm-hmm.
50.3%. Probably was second with 34%.
Mm-hmm.
He won in Littoral. I think in Littoral he had 64.59%. Probably was at 20%. He did win in the North.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the North, there you have he won 43%. But interesting enough, the Grand North, l'extreme North,
Mm-hmm.
um, Biya won.
Yeah,
Biya
but
won by
it's not
45,
a
but
slight
it was
margin.
maybe by 3%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a close margin.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, this just tells you the complexities of these things. You can sit there and say, oh, Easter Jeremiah is from the north and all the north is going. If any place where Easter Jeremiah was going to have all his observers is going to be the north, the
Yeah,
far north
you
of
would think
north.
so. Mm-hmm.
You would think so.
Mm-hmm.
Logically, he has a lot of support in that area and stuff like that. But BRC won in the far north. So did these people really sign off on those payments? I mean that's an important question to ask.
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, in the southwest, Bia was what? Almost 69%. In the south, Bia always claims that
90. It's
91%.
always the highest.
In the
Yes.
west, Bia was I know Isa Choma actually won in the west. He was 46%, Bia was 36%. The northwest, Bia was 86%. Okay. And a lot of people come here and act shocked. Like we said earlier, if you have ever supported Amber and you supported the continuous propagation of the Amber struggle, I'm sorry, you campaigned for Pia. You set the platform for him to be able to win. What else? In the center, as always, Pobia won 70.14%. Isatoma also 2%. So yeah, I think Issa definitely won in the diaspora, won in the littoral, won in North Adamawa, and in the West.
Mm-hmm.
So um, it is what it is. So I see, Victor, do you think the results were fair? Especially, how do you explain the result in the North and Southwest? I don't know what fair means. What do you mean by fair? That'll be. Are we running elections to be fair? I don't think so. You're running elections to have a winner. Okay. Those who put in the work, you think they will get the required results, or you think the voters will be able to pick the candidate of their choice, and they make a choice, the vote. I think Amber's situation greatly favored the
Yeah, they
the
would ruling party.
ruling party,
Mm-hmm.
and moreover, and we've made this point clearly. Even if the results are not fair and there's fraud, let's granted there's a lot of fraud there. Where are the observers or the opposition party to be able to call it out?
Yeah, because the
You
point is when those polling stations where we had observers, they called out the fraud or the attempts of fraud, right? Or
right,
elections they called those out, and those ones were clear. I mean, recorded in videos. So if we had observers at every polling station, the likelihood of fraud would be minimal, right? But the question which we asked earlier was, how do you claim that there was fraud when you don't have any evidence to justify
yeah.
the existence of fraud in that polling station? And I think that is where the problem was. Yeah. No, so I mean the results were really good. But again, at the end of the day, man, like we said, like we mentioned
How
earlier,
do you argue again? How do you argue against?
How do you argue against that? You have nothing to prove to the contrary. When Elekam says they had Northwest had how many percent in favor of Paul Biya, how do you dispute that when you did not even have representatives on ground to provide you with the pages to say, okay, this is what we got from Cambe. This is what we
Yeah.
got from this polling station. That's what we got from this polling station. The numbers don't match or the numbers don't add up. How
And
do you just
more importantly, how did the other opposition sign on it? So I'm hoping you had SDF there. I'm hoping you had UNDP. If you didn't have ISA's
at least you have one
observers,
of the
at least,
opposition
yeah.
party?
How did they sign on it? You have to prove. I mean, this is just an appeal to all Cameroonians and everybody of goodwill. If you make an accusation, you should be able to follow through with facts
Back
and
up,
evidence.
back up.
You should be able to back it up. Okay. Joshua C made an accusation. He did not back it up. He withdrew before they asked him, before he was able to present evidence. That tells
Mhm.
me that he was not serious. Okay.
Or maybe he was
We
not
can,
confident in.
or he wasn't
He
confident
might have
or
been
whatever.
serious about putting in the petition, but at some point might not have been confident in the evidence that he had.
Yeah.
That
So,
is one argument.
right. So,
Giving him the benefit of the doubt, right?
giving him the benefit
Okay,
of that,
right.
we can have all these arguments and we can have all these feelings and emotions and strong positions on things. But it helps because when you go to the court of law, particularly the Constitutional Council, you have to prove these things. Say, oh, how is that fair? How is that not fair? I don't think, I'm not a lawyer, I've never been to court, but I don't think that's how lawyers argue. It's not a matter of
Yeah,
fairness.
it's a matter of what do you have to support your
What do you
argument?
have to back up
What do you
your
have to
claim?
dispute the other person's claim? That is
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, you can't go and steal somebody's stuff and say, "Oh, I was hungry." Yeah, is it fair? No. The question is whether
It's
you
true.
stole or you did not steal. Can you put evidence that you did not steal? Can the plaintiff or
That's when
whatever say that this
criminals and murderers go to court and they are
and they go scot free?
and they go scot free because you
Yeah.
claim that they committed a crime or some offense was committed. You don't have enough evidence,
You
sufficient
feel,
evidence to
is it fair? You
it
felt it was
doesn't go by
unfair.
feeling or fair. No, it's do you have the evidence to prove
Yeah.
the crime, right? So I think that is where some of the problem is. I have the results. Let's look at.
This is the Northwest, yeah.
I have something for the Northwest. Hopefully, is visible enough. Is it visible?
Now can you
Can you
zoom
see?
out?
I can read it because I zoomed. I kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
zoomed it out,
Okay, yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
you can read it.
this is for the Northwest, and it gives breaks down all the departments, and it shows again the first slide that I put was those who registered to vote, those who actually came out and voted, number
Hmm.
of abstention and things like that. It kind of break it down, right? Very clearly.
Hmm.
So in this case, um, Boyo, Paul Biya had 68%, Issa Chiruma had 7%. Bui, people who came out to vote 13,000.
Hmm.
So Paul Biya had 85%, Chiruma had 1.9%. Uh Donga Mantum, same thing. Paul Biya had 72%. Menchum, Paul Biya had 53%. Mezam, Paul, and again, the point, the number of voters here is significantly high because in
Exactly.
Mezam there is 155,000 people voted in favor of Paul Biya. You can argue
Yeah.
that where did this number come from, and are they up to 155,000 people in Mezam? Well, you need to prove to us that there's not. We haven't
Right.
seen that, right?
What are your numbers?
What
Like
are
where do you
your
get where
exactly?
do you get your numbers from?
Yes. Yeah.
Where do you get your numbers from? Okay, that's a legit question. You can come and say, is that fair? Is that not fair? Okay, these are we have, and for God knows it can be doctored, but where
Yes.
are your own numbers?
Right. And I think this is where the biggest, the most arguments are the Northwest and the Southwest, because they assume that with Amber, people would probably not go out to vote, or they assume that people were so upset or so pissed off with the ruling party that they would go out and vote for Issa Chiroma. I think that is what people believe would happen. But again, the results here tell us differently, completely. And again, I know Ngala Gerard is from Cambe, and he's not the only one. He's been very active in rallying the people from his village
Right.
in favor of the CPTM, and he's not the only. A lot of them have done that. I know Bangwele BLM elites who have gone back to the village to rally supporters for the CPTM, right? So when people come out to vote, you know the opposition becomes surprised because they didn't go out to do the work.
Yeah.
They did not go out to do the work, so now they are surprised. So Mezam, 155,000, like I said. So Paul Biya 90. Momo
Momo
has.
has.
Is it me or you?
Is it
Gonna?
me or you gonna?
So Momo
So Momo
21,000
21,000
voted for
voted for
Paul
Paul
Biya, so
Biya.
he has 81%. And then Ndonga, no, Ngokatunja, um,
My
uh,
place.
that's your place. Yeah, 22,000 more people voted for the CPDM. So a total for Northwest, the CPDM had 255,188 votes. So they took 86.31%. Chiruma had 15,392 votes with 5%, and then the other candidates, grabbed a few votes. Yeah, you can claim that these results were inflated. But where is your proof? And that is a question that we've been asking from the very beginning. Where is your proof?
And
That's it.
it's crazy. It's crazy. I think we have the response from opposition leaders. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I'll put this down. What do you want to start with?
With
Oh,
SDF.
you want to start with Paul Biya? Paul Biya put out a little statement. Let's start with the winner, I guess. Or maybe you want to start with the SDF. It's fine.
Do you have comments from anybody?
Sorry?
Do you have comments from anybody?
Oh, Victor. Oh, yeah. Victor has a few. He has a few comments. It's a lot of money to have. Yeah, of course. Good thing he's agreeing to it. He said it's a lot of money to have observers in every station. Elekam is supposed to be neutral. Agreed. But if you're suspicious of Elekam, it is you to do due diligence. That's what they call due diligence, right, Ghana?
Yeah.
It's your place to do due diligence and to ensure that you have representative in those polling stations. So in case Elekam wanted to be wanted to be impartial, then your observers would be there to challenge. Ghana, you want to continue? You want to say something?
Elections takes money. It takes a lot.
Of course, a lot of money.
Because you have to pay. There are 31,600 polling stations in the national territory. You have to have 2 observers at least in these 2 stations. That is required by the electoral code. Issa Chiroma had a total of 1,700. That is from the Elekam. Okay, those are the facts. It shows that Issa Chiroma was not ready. And even if this, granted, there can be fraud, and there is fraud. Okay, how do you prove it? Where do you get the numbers to challenge that? That's the question that we're asking here. And I don't think
you can't take numbers from Elekam and then accuse them of frauding or inflating numbers. Where are your own numbers?
Your own. And moreover, you can't say Elekam change the results and then Elekam to come and verify your house. Are we serious in this country?
So no. Yeah, I mean, Victor, you have a good point. Elections cost a lot of money, and that's why I assume the state provides a certain portion of amount of money to candidates so they could at least help manage that election. I don't know if that. Sorry, Ghana.
50 million, I think, is it not?
50 million is a lot of money. A lot of money. It would definitely help. And yeah, you're right. Those things are expensive. They are expensive.
Yeah,
and you have to maybe not pay the representatives or the observers, but you have to give them a commission or something, because I remember certain elections where I did observation for the SDF. we got a little bit of a commotion. It wasn't like paid, but
Right.
they give you a token for being their eyes and ears in that polling station, right? Again, that takes money.
Because you're
Sorry.
supposed to be a party. You're supposed to be a party that is not motivated by money, but motivated by people's love for that party.
Yeah.
Just pay all those people. You have 31,000 people, 62,000, and you have 50 million. How much are you going to pay people? How much are you going to fuel cars? How much are you going
Mhm,
to credit? Okay.
mhm.
You have to develop a party that people buy into the agenda, the ideology, the
Yeah,
concept.
yeah.
Okay, so that people are willing to sacrifice their time, their money for you. So even if you give somebody 2,000, 3,000, they are happy that they still came out and and supported what they believe in. So I see a lot of people mock people for drinking one beer and having sardine and bread. I mean, that's fine. But you also have to think that a lot of these people, only their time and their money and their effort, it's more than that sardine and bread.
Mhm.
Their commitment, because you
They
have to
don't they don't go there for one pen charge.
one pension.
Nobody goes to a rally to get a piece of bread, or nobody goes out in support of the CPTM to get a bottle of beer.
Right.
The bottle of beer is just something that happened. These people would go even if nothing was offered to
It's
them.
not there. Okay.
That is how committed some of these people are to that party. They
Yeah.
would go even if nothing was offered.
So I mean, and a lot of people ridicule these people, and yeah, surely I won't waste my day because of one bottle of beer and sardine and 2,000 francs. But
They
then,
go.
if you're committed, if you're committed, that's just refreshment. At the end of the day, it doesn't cover your bill. It doesn't cover the amount of money you'd have made
Mhm,
if you stayed home and did your business or did a job or whatever.
mhm.
But it's because some of these people, maybe not all of them, but a significant chunk buy into the ideology of that party. Okay. And if I'm sorry, a lot of people fail to see that people support Biya. Like people, it doesn't even occur to them that people can support the president. But I'm sorry, we live in a bubble. If you just go into social media and you're seeing and the same thing that reinforces your beliefs and your biases, you're not actually seeking out the opposing ideas and views. Okay, there are people who for nothing even will go out to rallies. And
Uh,
I was going to say, we also cannot minimize the power of these things too.
mm,
The power of bag of rice, the power of a
yeah,
beer, whatever.
yeah.
Some people will change their vote for that.
For that, yeah.
Okay, so while we're saying that a lot of people don't do this, there's another
A lot
significant
of group of people too who
that
go
would
for that
choose
reason. Yeah.
bottle of beer and pen chargé and sardine oil. Some people will refuse to vote. Some people will put their children's future in jeopardy because of that.
Hmm,
Okay,
hmm.
poverty and and
Yeah.
hunger and whatever will make people make
Would-
those. And so man, we never ever see bet and sardine for like 10 years. You come and give him bet and sardine. Huh. So man, he changed the vote because of
Yeah,
that.
he will change. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
He says Isa Chiruma won with flying colors in West and Littoral. Well, he won in Littoral, according to Elekam's results.
It is.
But he did not win. He did not win in the West, right?
I
Or am
think
I mistaken?
he won in the West.
Oh, he won in the West.
Elekam said that.
Let's see.
I think
Let's see.
West. Yeah, I think his comment is
It's blocking that. Let me get the comment.
was a comment that
Uh, okay.
yeah, Isa had 46% in
Yes.
the
So yeah, you're right. You're right. Isa Chiruma won with flying colors, like you say
so
in
then Elekam posted that. It's part of
Elekam.
they agreed with you.
Yeah, he won with flying colors in the West and Littoral. I mean, Elekam, Elekam. Again, the regions where they said Isa Chiroma won, I mean, Elekam came out with a result and he won. West, Littoral, Adamawa, and which other one?
North. And
And North. 4.
they put it there like Elekam said he won.
Elekam put it there. Probably initially they said 6. They assumed Northwest and Southwest. No, Northwest and Southwest they voted for Popol. He wasn't supposed to assume that. Why would he assume?
Why
I-
would you?
Victor says, give us 3 reasons. I think we've given more than three reasons why people from the Northwest would vote for the CBDM.
Yeah.
I think that's
You are
probably
you are
most of what we've been talking about, right?
yeah.
Okay. Let's see if he has another comment again. We want to build a country where a poor can have access to justice. Agreed.
Totally agree.
Agreed. That is the country that we want for our kids and for ourselves, right? You guys are trying to encourage corruption and injustice. I don't know. I think it's just
Uh, Back, how are we trying to encourage corruption and injustice? If he has a comment, we would like to know how we're encouraging corruption and injustice.
yeah. And then last comment before we round up, Ghana. Again, still from Victor, is the country is a disaster politically, economically, and socially. Yeah, it is. It's clearly it is. Yeah, I mean, we are not denying that. Cameroon has a lot of issues,
I have a lot of problems.
lots of problems. Just like just like I could list you, I could name you, 20. If you want me, I can name you 20 countries who are dealing, who have their own issues too. Nigeria is not any better in terms of corruption and in terms of the economic situation and in terms of the social insecurity. Every country has its problems, man.
They have their own
Yes, Cameroon should do better. Again, when I say this, I'm not condoning the inaction of the ruling party. Cameroon should not be where Cameroon is today. We have more, we have a lot of resources. We can do better. But again, if you want to only say that, oh, every country has its trouble, even here in Canada, we have our own issues, right? But yes, we can certainly do better. We expect a lot more from our leaders. It doesn't matter who the leader, whether it's Paul Biya or was Issa Chiruma, we would expect a
them.
lot of him as well. So it's not about who is leading. Whoever is leading, we expect a lot more than what we have. That is true. I agree with you, Victor. We have a lot of problems back home. That's for sure. That's it for comments. Before we want to round up, talk
Yeah.
about Bobby has one little
At this
statement
point,
made since.
yeah, can I? I'll just read. At this point in
Yeah.
time, sovereign people have once again placed their trust in me for a new term of office. My first thoughts are with all those who have unnecessarily lost their lives, as well as their families as a result of the post-election. I fathom the weight of the responsibility that has once again been entrusted to me and the great expectations of my compatriots, particularly those young people and women. Men, they don't care about now. With the presidential election behind us, I sincerely hope that together we resolutely undertake to build a peaceful, united, and prosperous Cameroon. We really owe this to our beloved and beautiful country. As president of all Cameroonians, I would like to commend all those who took part in the election process and makes Cameroon a true democracy. I wish to particularly extend a sincere thanks to all the voters who chose me.
Yeah, that's it. And you will not hear from him again for a long time. Hey, Ghana, that's it. You will not hear from him again for a very long time. But again, that is who we voted for. If at all, you want to put it that way. That is who we voted for. The president of Gabon sent congratulatory messages to the president elect, incumbent President Paul Biya today. Cabral Libi also did send a message of congratulations to the president. I am sure a lot of that will be coming. I didn't go to check the website or the Facebook page of the Unity Palace, but I'm sure that a lot of people are giving him a congratulatory messages. Again, I saw those two
Yeah,
the last minute.
yeah. We have a comment.
Victor is pissed and disappointed in these results. Anyway, Ghana,
Uh,
final words.
yeah, we are all disappointed, and
Mhm.
it is what it is. But in our disappointment, we want to be real. and stick to the facts and make sure we are as unbiased as humanly possible.
Hmm.
So, excuse me. I think that gives you a certain level of comfort and peace, where you know that regardless of what the situation is, you're always going to speak the truth, even if it doesn't align with you.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel discomfort and distress where they have a strong sentimental attachment to a particular position and things go their way.
Hmm.
But you're open to the truth regardless of how it makes you, regardless of how it affects you, and you just want to be the truth, be it painful, be it happy. It brings you a lot of peace.
Hmm.
At least that's my experience. I'm not really committed to a particular party. I just want give me the truth, even if it hurts, and I
Hmm.
know sometimes. So for me, personally, that's how I deal with all conflicts. Things are not always going to go the way you want, but if you're seeking truth and want to know the truth by its own very nature should be able to bring you peace. Uh,
Hmm.
okay, regardless of the outcomes. It's not that you agree or you disagree with that it's supposed to bring. And if you're fighting the truth, that's where you get a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of
Right.
psychological issues. And I don't
Mhm.
want that type of person. Just give me as it is.
I want to say that I woke up early this morning hoping that the reality that we've talked about for the past couple of weeks would just be
We were
that we would be proven wrong. I woke up hoping that Issa Chiruma won, but again, that was me hoping, right? It was not exactly what had transpired, but again, that was my hope. I should also say that um, in as much as I take the results for what it is, I have a big issue which eventually we are going to talk about. Paul Biya is 92
yeah.
and he has 7 more years. I'm not wishing him death because I mean he's a cat with 9 lives. But eventually, you know, every man dies,
Every
right?
man,
So eventually he is going to pass away. Um, he might pass away while in office, or he might pass away after he
that,
must have left office.
for me, that's
Those
more.
those are the two options. If he passes away when he's left office and we have a president at hand, that's fine. But I have a serious worry. That is what is if they say what keeps you up at night. Moving forward, that's what's going to keep me up at night because the CPDM does not have a succession plan for Paul Biya. If they do, it's not clear enough. And
Yeah,
imagine if the president dies 1 year, 2 years into his term of office, what happens?
yeah,
That is what is going to keep me up at night for the next couple of years. There has to be the CPTM as a party need to start working on a succession plan. It cannot just be Paul Biya. There has to be someone who can take up the mantle of command should in case something bad happens. I know the constitution says president of national assembly. I think that is what it takes over. But again, there has to be an election in 4 months or something like that. There really has to be a clear succession plan for this president. 92 years is not you're not young, you're very old.
yeah.
And 2 more years, by the time he gets to 100, well, again, I just wanted to bring that up. That is what is going to keep me up at night for the next couple of years. Again, thank you very much, Ghana. I think we've had a wonderful conversation. Thank you very much, Victor Kameni. I also want to thank um, um
But
Taco Claire, and also Laura LC and your friend and Jerome, for your contributions and for sticking with us and for being polite, even though you might disagree with the things that we've said on today's show. Again, that is why we have the Idle Park Talk Show, right? So that people can come and be comfortable in sharing their opinions and listening to others and having
I mean,
debates which could get heated, But again, it's an environment that allows for things like this to happen. Ghana.
Yeah, I mean that. I wasn't gonna say that's like we the many things that we disagree on, but
Right.
that, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. You guys have a lovely lovely night and a good day, a good morning for those who are waking up. Thank you.